So it'd be poor show if I didn't comment on the Sturgeon stroke Murrell case from yesterday. I done a video on it just after the news started filtering through that he pled guilty to a reduced charge of a reduced amount of just over £400,000 worth of fraud taken from SNP coffers. Now, there's a few things that's like been in my mind since then. We've got three things. One, the amount and what happened to the rest of the money. Two, Nicola Sturgeon's not guilty plea. That's pretty bonkers. And the third thing that nobody's talking about is how this all ties into the auditors, who miraculously, after a decade of auditing the SNP accounts, suddenly said, we're not doing it anymore. So I just want to talk about those three things. So the first thing is Sturgeon. This is a woman who told us through all the investigation stage of this case that she had been totally cooperative with the police. Now what's happened yesterday is the Sun newspaper have had some sources who must be from within the police force, because nobody else would know, who they've confirmed that that wasn't the case, that during her questioning she was in the police station for 7 hours and done a no comment interview, which means she never said anything. But this is a woman that came out and she had the tiny tears at her doorstep, you know, a bit of time later when her man was rearrested, claiming that she was totally gobsmacked, never knew anything about all this, and was helping with investigations and being totally cooperative. And it turns out that's a lot of bollocks. Now, what I'm saying that using the Sun and their source as being truthful here. But what I think's happened here is, for about 3 years now, because the first arrests were 2023, police, etc., have been able to say nothing. There'll be people in the media who have known facts about this case that, because of reporting restrictions, because up until yesterday it was a live case, that they couldn't report all their findings. And it's no wonder to me that people are coming out en masse and now telling us stuff that we didn't know before. Because these people, you imagine you're a cop working in the police station in some capacity and you're witnessing this stuff, and then you see Ms. Sturgeon sitting in camera on the media saying, oh, I've been totally cooperating with the police, and you've known for 3 years that that's total bollocks. It's no wonder these people are frustrated, and I think there'll be lots of them, and they won't be the only people that have got these concerns. So that's the first thing, this Nicola Sturgeon. I'm such a helpful character. Like the background I've got today, it's a beautiful day, so I thought I'd just come and wander down the Clyde, which is one of the most beautiful parts of the city. It's a nice panoramic view from here. Anyway, then bits up there as we get closer into the city are getting ruined by migrants, but that's another video for another day. So the other topics that I want to talk about is the money, the amount, and then the auditors. Now, this whole thing started because the SNP had no money. In about 2016, their cash in hand figure on their account showed about £7,000. And that came in at the same time as a fundraiser for a second independence referendum. Now, this money was taken on the basis that it would be ring-fenced from their accounts for another referendum if one was to take place. I always thought that was a bit strange, because you think, well, what happens if no referendum takes place? Where does all the money go? Anyway, that's what they've done. And so the year that they started this, the year previous, the account showed that they had the priceless sum of £7,000 in the bank. So they could have done with a bit of cash injection. Now, the initial fundraiser got about £500,000. And then there was a second one done in 2019 to top that up, and it ended up with over £600,000. So there was over £600,000 raised for this referendum that never happened, and this guaranteed that it was all going to be ring-fenced. And then there was it was Wings Over Scotland, I believe, where I went. I was off Twitter for about 10 years, and in my first incarnation of Twitter, I kind of wasn't a fan of Wings of Scotland. But how things can change over a 10-year period, because it became one of the most vocal anti-SNP platforms out there, although I believe still a guy that wants independence, which is fair enough. Everybody's allowed an opinion. And they started highlighting where's the money. And then that went and led on to Sean Clerkin, who again is another independence supporter, who actually went to the police with this information, and much of, if not all of the information, came from Wings Over Scotland. So that's what happened. So the accounts quite clearly showed, because they never since had £600,000 in the accounts. And I think by the time it went to court, they went to the police, the previous year, from when the investigation started, they had like 96, 97 grand in the bank, when they should have had £500,000 to £600,000 in the bank. So that money's gone, right? That looks as if it's never been ring fenced. Now, there's then an argument, well, was that the money he stole, or was it money from the members? I kind of don't think it matters, because the money just all goes into turnover and gets sloshed about anyways. But some people are saying, well, the 600,000's disappeared and he stole another 400,000, which I don't see it that way. But either way, there's missing money, because there should be at least £600,000 there of the fundraiser money, and we know through the accounts at its points that was definitely not there. So where's the other 200 grand? Minimum 200 grand, because I say some people are arguing that there's £1 million missing. I don't quite see that, but the lowest figure is the 600,000. So where's the other 200 grand? Who pocketed that? Was it Murrell? Has he maybe done more than the 600,000, and it was just from an evidence base that they couldn't charge him for that? But it's either, I mean, it's simple mathematics suggests that there's at least £600,000 missing. He's put his hand up to 400 grand of it, so there's at least 200,000 unaccounted. So is it that he was so cute that the police, after about 5 years of investigation, just couldn't find the other money? Or is there somebody else involved? There lies a question that nobody's asked in the mainstream. Now, the last thing that I found a bit strange with this last 24 hours is the complete forgetfulness of the fact of the auditors. Now, what happened in the roundabout October, September, I believe it was, that the auditors told the SNP that they no longer wanted to audit for them. And that kicked in, they gave them 30 days notice, so that kicked in round about the October 2022. And nobody knew. It wasn't made public until the arrest started in the March/April time of 2023. Now, looking back at what happened there, these auditors had been auditing the SNP for about a decade, possibly more. But I think at least a decade. I think that's a safe figure to say. And suddenly woke up one day and thought, we don't want to audit you anymore. Now, what we were told was, or the line we were flung, was that the auditors had looked at staffing numbers, etc., and decided to stop auditing certain customers. Now, that may be a normal practice for auditors, or there may be another reason. That's accepting the line we've been told by the SNP has been honest, which, forgive me for not believing everything they say, but let's just accept that as truth for a moment. What things, because the auditors company are still running, they're still quite a big auditing firm that audit loads of businesses. So I wonder what the criteria is used for a firm when they have a genuine change of heart and they just decide we've got too many customers, which is a strange business decision, but let's just go along with it for a minute. So this business that makes a business out of auditing suddenly decide one day that they don't want to audit some customers. How did they decide? How did they decide we're binning them? Why? Now, what we found out after that, and since then, the next set of accounts were due very, very, very short term after the April, May. I can't remember the exact month. I think it was maybe August or something. So Hamza Yousaf was the First Minister by that time, and they were running about daft trying to get another auditor because they had to submit their books to the Electoral Commission and they had to be audited. So they needed an auditor. And eventually found one in Manchester, right, which is about 200-300 miles that way. This is Scotland. It's this area behind me in Glasgow. There's loads of auditors with offices here alone. Edinburgh, Aberdeen, fully auditors. And it'll not only be that, there'll be smaller auditors all over other towns in Scotland. But there must be loads behind me that could have audited them, but ended up for whatever reason. And I'm not going to suggest any negative reasons why all these auditors here were unable to audit their accounts. But anyway, they ended up in Manchester and they got their accounts eventually ready and in time so that the Electoral Commission didn't start maybe fining them or whatever happens when you don't put your accounts in time. However, those accounts, when they did come, had remarks by the auditor saying that basically it's the best of their knowledge sort of type audit, that there was information that they didn't have to rubber stamp them as fully and properly audited. And again, that may be normal in some occasions, but you would think with a party, particularly one who hadn't had those remarks on their previous accounts, suddenly have them on their audited accounts, that due to some reporting issues, they were unable to give a full guarantee of the validity of the accounts. And since then, I think there's been another, at least 2, maybe 3 sets of accounts. And I think it's been the same for most, or if not all, of their accounts. So there we go. That's just 3 off the top of my head. I've got loads of things. I might do some more videos about this, maybe even today or tomorrow. But there's more and more concerns I have about what's going on in the SNP. So just to summarise, 1, the Nicola Sturgeon no comment interview when she's been telling us she's been cooperating fully with the police. 2, where's the extra other money? Because there's at least £200,000 still unaccounted for as a minimum. And 3, what's the true story with the auditors? That's enough to keep us going for the time being. So if you enjoyed this video, click the thumbs up, please. That would be fantastic. If you would put some comments below, that will really help drive the video. The midges are starting. And if you've not already done so, please just double check you are subscribed. What will happen now, YouTube will put a video up around here that they think you'll like, that you've not seen. That one's all right. And down about here, there'll be a wee button you can press if you've not already subscribed to the channel. But more important than all that, unless you're the type of person that comes out and tells us you're fully helping police with inquiries, when you've done a no comment. Not you, but everyone else. Have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.